and Congressman Adam Schiff, chairman of the House Intel Committee. He joins us now. Welcome back to Primetime.
Thank you, Chris.
So you foresaw something like this, but what do you make of so many members of the Republican Party in your ranks in Congress holding up a baseless assessment of this election?
Well, it's shameless, and it does, as President Obama said, put us on a very dangerous path. But it's the culmination of 4 years of this. The president was really only able to attack, for example, the independence of the Justice Department because the Republicans stood mute or went along with it. He was only able to violate the Hatch Act and host a convention on the White House grounds because the Republicans went along with it. He was only able to fire inspector generals or punish whistleblowers or any number of acts, anti-democratic acts over the last 4 years because the Republicans went along with it. And now, most dangerously, they're going along with the big lie about the election we just had. And where does it end, Chris? You might say, well, it'll hopefully end with the Georgia special election because right now they don't want to piss off the president and risk retribution in Georgia. But it won't end there either, because as long as he's hanging out the prospect that he might run, or even if he doesn't run in 4 years, he might bestow the crown on someone else, they're going to continue to debase themselves and with it to debase our democracy.
Has anybody come up to you in private and said, hold your horses, I heard some things that you're going to want to have vetted about this election as well? Has anybody offered you anything?
No. And I mean, look at and you alluded to it earlier, but the incredible statement coming out of the Department of Homeland Security, that CISA agency within Homeland, clear as day, basically saying there's none of this massive fraud in terms of this particular election system that the president is alleging. Basically, you have the Department of Homeland Security saying, in effect, there's nothing truthful about what the president has just said. I give them credit for courage. That's a gutsy thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. There ought to be more people in Congress, within the executive branch as well, to show that kind of courage.
So let's deal with the what nows questions. What now in terms of what can you guys do? Doesn't look like much. What now in terms of what this means for your ability to get any stimulus relief going or any kind of different approach to the pandemic that is eating us alive? What does this mean for all these problems?
Well, I think that we can, because we'll have to compartmentalize the need to get a relief bill passed. It just can't wait. It can't wait until we have a new president sworn in. There are millions of businesses teetering on the edge, many of which will not be there in January if we don't act and replenish the PPP program. Millions of people whose unemployment is running out or has already run out, who are hanging by a financial thread, schools that need help, cities and states that need help. We need to get this done. I have a little bit more optimism now that the election is over, because the problem has been this splits the Republican conference in the Senate. Mitch McConnell didn't want to bring up a relief package that would divide his members until the election was over. Now, he still has some of that same perverse incentive because the Georgia special isn't over, but he sounds like he is more receptive to actually getting something done than before, and we need to make it so because it just can't wait.
Give me a little confidence in that optimism, because to me it looks like you guys are into Obama redux, where, Mitch and the gang are going to just lock it up, even though you have the House, and he'll do what he did to Obama. No judges for this cat. We're going to hold up all of his appointments, and he's not going to get anything done here unless we want it. We're still in control because they have one House of Congress.
Look, certainly I think that's where Kevin McCarthy is coming from, and that is see if we can prevent them from governing and then try to argue for a takeover of the Congress because they didn't govern. That's what they did during the Obama administration. It's likely what McCarthy is going to do, and maybe McConnell as well. But here, Chris, this is a reason for optimism. If there was ever a president positioned to break the impasse, it's Joe Biden. He's had decades of experience working with the Congress. I don't think there's anyone who can work it better. He has relationships in the Senate. He knows how to get deals done. Unlike Donald Trump, who was a good marketer but a terrible deal maker, Joe Biden actually knows how to get deals done. So that should be reason for optimism. And I think the American people are going to need to make it plain to Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy that if they don't come to the table, they're going to pay an awful price in Georgia and the rest of the country in the midterms.
Mixed message on that score, right? I mean, the Republicans did well on the congressional side and really well on the state legislative side. And, you know, Biden was there for both terms with Obama. He didn't get any big deals done. The only big thing that they got done, which was big, the ACA, was a cram down.
Well, you know, that you're right. That was big. And as a result, tens of millions of people have health care that wouldn't have it otherwise.
But it wasn't a deal.
But it wasn't a deal. No, you're right. There were deals that were made. That was, as you say, something that had to be muscled through the Congress. But look, I think that Joe Biden has the personal skills. I also think that he's going to have the country rooting for him to succeed because they need the help. I mean, look at the hospitals are more full than ever with COVID patients. People are dying in record numbers. The country sees that. You can't be blind to that. People want to put this pandemic behind them and get the economy fully reopened again. And we know we can't do that until we defeat the virus. So I think that's a perilous thing to get in the way of. Joe Biden is going to try to defeat this thing, and we can do this. The country has overcome bigger challenges in the past. And I think if Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy are nothing but an obstacle, the country will see that.
I just wonder if they don't benefit perversely from their efforts, you know, on the president's coattails of playing down the pandemic so that their constituents aren't as worried about it as yours are, even when they hear the statistics. And now you've got this time period, where we don't know what's going to happen, where the president is on like a revenge tour. He's shifting up all these seats in the Pentagon. You know, Gina Haspel now in the intelligence agencies seems like maybe she could be Russia revenge. Why do you think that's happening, and what do you think it could mean about what else this president will do in his time?
Well, you know, I think a big part of it is just plain pettiness and the desire to retaliate against his perceived enemies. And the president doesn't need much more of a reason than that. That is who he is. He is nothing if not vindictive. But perhaps equally dangerous are the people that he is replacing these agency heads with. And these are unqualified, partisan hacks that really don't have the policy chops, and they're not being put in there for that reason. And if we're not careful, they could create foreign policy crises in waiting for the new administration. And of course, Donald Trump wouldn't care anything about that. One of the other points we emphasized, you brought up the trial at the beginning of the segment, in the trial is the one thing you can rely on with Donald Trump is he will do what's in his personal interest. He doesn't care what it means to the country. And if he can sabotage the next administration, he will do it. If he can retaliate against his enemies, he will do it. If he can stay in office and essentially vacate the election, he will do it. But he won't be able to. He won't be able to. And we just have to hope and pray, as you say, that a few more Republicans find their courage and their voice and remind themselves what they ran for office for when they ran for office so long ago. It certainly wasn't to deny a peaceful transition of power.
I mean, you add the word more. Right now, we're just looking for a few Republicans, period, to just acknowledge this. Because, you know, Trump can't do it on his own. He can play with the appointments. But that's why I believe that the finger of blame and shame should be pointed at the Republicans in Congress who are allowing this and pretending that this facade, you know, this farce has some legitimacy to it. And I don't know how it ends, at least before, like, Thanksgiving. I mean, what's the chance that anybody gets any help standing on food lines, you know, the 700,000+ that just filed for unemployment before Thanksgiving?
Chris, it's just got to end. We have got to get the relief done. We need to go into session and stay in session until we get it done. You know, one thing that does also give me optimism is we need to pass a bill to keep the government open. No one is going to want a shutdown of the government right now. And as we negotiate the package to keep the government open, we will be negotiating the package to help the American people. And it's my hope and to be optimistic, my expectation that we will do both.
Well, look, as always, I hope you're right and I'm wrong. Because the people need help. I mean, this is really beyond left and right. This is just about what's reasonable. So hopefully McConnell does act on the instincts that you're saying may be present. Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you for your perspective and your optimism.